My brothers and my sisters, we have an emergency on our hand at this moment in time. We need to warn the people of God. We need to warn the world of this unprecedented decision that was just made and agreed by over 200 nations just hours ago at COP28. Revelation chapter 17 describe, verse 13, how they will surrender, the nations will surrender their power and strength unto the beast. And we have been witnessing this taking place, and just some hours ago, we have witnessed another huge step into giving the beast strength and power, as also Revelation chapter 13, verse 2 describe that Justinian did before 538 AD. And by 538 AD, the papacy was fully established. He received strength, seat, power, and great authority. And what just happened here is nothing that we should just make light of. It's major in light of Bible prophecy. This is an alert, brothers and sisters. This is something that should cause us to re-examine our lives. That should cause me to re-examine my life, whether I am in the faith or not. And I will be talking more about this, Lord willing, especially this coming Sabbath, the 16th of December 2023, here in Tennessee, more specifically in McDonald, Tennessee. And we will leave the information with you, and you will see it on this video, the address and everything, and we will leave that under the comment. Even the ones, now back to COP28, even the ones who saw what was coming, what was in this draft, COP28 draft, that they drafted, put together. Like, for example, the phasing out of fossil fuels, the elimination of fossil fuels. They realize how that is going and will bring an economic hardship, an economic collapse. They stood up and said, no, we cannot phase it out. But even those individuals right now, they have bowed to the Pope of Rome. The pressure came upon them. Now, what made this also so significant is because COP28 was supposed to end by Sunday or Monday. But because a few nations were holding up, and they extended it to today, 2 days later, they worked overnight. They put pressure on those nations, the beast, brothers and sisters, under the leadership of the United Nations, which is controlled by the United States of America, under the control of the second beast, is indeed, Revelation 13, verse 12 says, causing the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Those, again, who were in opposition to phasing out fossil fuels, they knew how that would bring an economic turmoil, oppression on their countrymen, but they have now bowed down. For example, this here on the screen from the New York Times says climate summit leader tries to calm up war over a remark on fossil fuels. Sultan Al-Jaber, responsible for leading the world away from fossil fuels, had said there was no science to support a phase out of oil and gas part of the reasons why that man said this then, this was last week, it's also because he knew the consequences of phasing out of fossil fuels, which means, once again, oil, gasoline, but it also includes us human beings, our activities. That was his stand then. And then the next article even said, at COP28, and fossil fuel use, says Pope. That's what the Pope said. He demanded it. But UAE energy minister warns it will do what? Send us back to the caves. That's what he said then. He stood up. He said, no, it will send us back to the caves. What is his stand now? What is his stand now? Listen.
We have confronted realities and we have set the world in the right direction. We have given it a robust action plan to keep 1.5 within reach. It is a plan that is led by the science. It is a balanced plan that tackles emissions, bridges the gap on adaptation, reimagines global finance, and delivers on loss and damage. We must take the steps necessary to turn this agreement into tangible actions. If we unite in action, we can have a profoundly positive effect on all our futures.
He bowed. He bowed to the Pope. He bowed. What happened, I should say? What happened to this? He said then, last week, just a few days ago, if we were to do so, phasing out of fossil fuels, eliminating fossil fuels, it will send us back to the caves. In other words, back to the Dark Ages. And what was it like during the Dark Ages? The cave during the Dark Ages. Papacy was in power. In other words, sending us back to the caves mean now we have to worship the Pope. The Pope has his strength and power and authority. But what is his stand now? He bowed. As this says, landmark deal at COP28 begins a qualified end to the fossil fuel era. And I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, I'm telling you, these are indeed the last days. Persecution is coming and economic hardship is upon us. Civil war is upon us. You thought that you have seen the worst of it? You have not seen the worst of it yet. Because this is going to bring about such pains and hunger. Many will not be able to tolerate it. They will become criminals because they want to feed themselves. And they will blame us soon and very soon for this, for the calamities. Listen carefully. We read, the Spirit of God is being grieved away from this earth. The nations are angry with one another. Widespread preparations are being made for war. The night is at hand. Let the church do what? Arouse and go forth to do her appointed work. Every believer, educated or uneducated, can bear the message. What must we do right now, brothers and sisters? The nations are angry. This deal that they came up with, that they are praising as if it will bring peace upon the earth, it will bring solution, it will combat climate change. No, brothers and sisters, according to what both the Bible and Spirit of Prophecy says, the nations are angry. And if we were to compare this with Revelation chapter 11, verse 18, the Bible says, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which does what? Destroy the earth. Climate change, they are the ones destroying the earth. There will not be peace. This solution will bring about more commotions, more wars over fossil fuels. And the nations who agreed on this soon, some of them, soon and very soon, they will see what they have done and they will try to back away. But oppression will come. Oh, brothers and sisters, let's move on. Listen, at COP28, COP28 ends with call to transition away from fossil fuels. UN's United Nations, Guterres says, phase out is what? Inevitable. In other words, brothers and sisters, there will be climate laws being implemented that will stop you from driving fossil fuels, remember? Phasing out of oil, gas, and all of those things. There will be checkpoints. You will be controlled of how far you can go. Try to understand what's happening here. We've already had a taste of this with COVID. When they said we could not drive more than 3 miles. Where's the science behind that? Speaking of science, Al-Jaber, what did he say now? He said we have to follow the science. What did he say then last week? But if we follow the science, according to him, that will send us back to the cave. But this week, they bow. Do you see what's happening? Listen now. Let's continue. Next, in a first, nations at climate summit agree to do what? To move away from fossil fuels. This is from the New York Times. This came out today, December 13th, 2023. For the first time since nations began meeting 3 decades ago to confront climate change. Listen again, it says for the first time. Diplomats from nearly 200 countries approved a global pact that explicitly calls for transitioning away from fossil fuels like oil, gas, and coal that are dangerously heating the planet, they say. Now, keep in mind, we use the same things that they say are dangerous for the planet, that are heating up the planet. We use the same thing to heat up our home, even our vehicles. Then what's going to happen? What's going to happen to those things, that those fossil fuels we use to heat up our home during the winter season and our vehicle? What's going to happen? Can you picture it? Can you picture Revelation chapter 13 again? Verse 16 again? And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their foreheads or in their right hand, and so that no man might buy or sell except he that have the mark of the beast, except the ones who worship and bow to the beast. There's going to be an economic collapse like we've never seen before. The time of trouble indeed is upon us. Let's continue. Again, that explicitly calls for transitioning away from fossil fuels like oil, gas, and coal that are dangerously heating up the planet. The sweeping agreement, which comes during the hottest year in recorded history, was reached on Wednesday, today, after 2 weeks of furious debate at the United Nations Climate Summit. As I mentioned, some of those nations were holding up, didn't want to fully deal or sign the pact, the agreement. And by the way, this agreement that was signed, there is a Sunday law in it, and we'll dig it out, and will, by God's grace, by Sabbath, we will talk more about it. This is the reason why if I am inviting you, if you are in the Tennessee, McDonald, Tennessee, Chattanooga area, or the surrounding areas, or the state, join us this Sabbath. Join us this Sabbath beginning at 10:30. And we will discuss more. We will study more. We will see what we need to do right now as a people. The time of trouble is upon us indeed. This is not a fear-mongering message. This is to prepare our people for the inevitable, for the crisis. God says, give them warning from me. Give them warning from me. And I'm giving you the warning. And as I'm giving you the warning, I'm also asking myself, Lord, am I ready? Am I ready? Listen now. The article went on to say, while past United Nations climate deals have urged countries to reduce emissions, they have shed away from explicitly mention the words fossil fuels. Keep in mind, brothers and sisters, they have shunned away from mentioning those words. Think of fossil fuels, let me put it this way, the end of fossil fuels, as they say, the elimination of fossil fuels, as they say, or the phasing out of fossil fuels, as they say, meaning removing your bread and water and your shelter. That's how you should look at it. Removing your bread and water, sending you, as they said, back to the cave. Let's continue. It says, once again, humanity has finally done what is long overdue, said this person, the European Commissioner for Climate Actions. 30 years, 30 years we spent to arrive at the beginning of the end of fossil fuels. That means the end of freedom. It's the end of freedom. We've experienced that already with COVID. You did not have freedom to move about freely. You did not have that. That is the end of freedom. Food prices are going to keep skyrocketing. Remember, most transportations, most trucks that deliver food, they use fossil fuels. Do you see what's coming? And if you live, for example, in some liberal states in the United States of America, like New York, like California, those climate laws, which they have already started to implement, but based on what just happened today, they will get worse, brothers and sisters. Are we ready? Am I ready for this final crisis? These are, keep in mind, the Sunday laws. The Sunday laws, the oppressions, removing your natural rights. Listen carefully to what Spirit of Prophecy says. To secure popularity and patronage, legislators will yield to the demand for a Sunday law. This is the demand right now under the umbrella of climate change. Let's move on. It says, once again, to secure popularity and patronage, legislators will yield to the demand for a Sunday law. Those who fear God cannot accept an institution that violates a precept of the Decalogue. So what is that telling me? What is that telling you right now? As we can see clearly, this crisis is upon us. What is that telling us? Oh, brothers and sisters, again, as I ask the question, am I ready? Are you ready for this? The ending out of fossil fuels is oppression, is to cause you to look at self instead of looking at Jesus Christ, so that, as they say, so that when the mark of the beast crisis is legislated, well, you want to save yourself, right? You will yield. You see, oppression has to come first. Fear has to be implementing first. But remember, this is at such a time as this. We have to show that we have the patience of Jesus and the faith of Jesus. And as the song says, how shall we stand in that great day, brothers and sisters? How shall we stand right now? Let's continue. Spirit of Prophecy went on to say, once again, on this battlefield comes the last great conflict of the controversy between truth and error. And we are not left in doubt as to the issue. Now, as in the days of Mordecai, the Lord will do what? Vindicate his truth and his people. But we must first vindicate the truth. We must first show that we ought to obey God rather than men. How shall we stand in that great day, brothers and sisters? I invite each one of you once again to, if you are in this area, to join me this Sabbath as we going to go into this decree that just passed at COP 28, Sabbath the 16th rather, December 23, at the following address: 170 McDonald School Road, McDonald, Tennessee 37353. Even if you are in another surrounding state, join us if you are able, because we are indeed at the border of Canaan and we need to come together. We need unity among God's people. It doesn't matter what you have done, as long as you confess your sin to Christ, as long as you have made it right with Him, you repented. Now is the time to accept His forgiveness. And as the Bible also says, let us not stop gathering together, the assembling of ourselves together, as we see that day coming. And that day, the second coming of Jesus Christ, is indeed upon us. And as the song says, and I'll leave you with this song: how shall we stand in that great day? Is that great day upon us? How shall we stand, brothers and sisters? Listen carefully.
Speak.